Moneyball can be seen in modern day football throughout the top tiers of the world, and that is because of the success it has had in bringing smaller teams to be able to compete with top sides in Europe, such as Brentford in the Premier League, using data and statistical information to build a side which can now compete in the top half of the Premier League season on season. Moneyball will quite simply look into every single stat the player could potentially be using, like key passes per 90 for a midfielder, defensive actions as a centre-back, or goals scored per 90 minutes as a striker, and 1,000 more as well. And today I want to show you exactly how you can use the Moneyball method in Football Manager, but also teach you how to use it, in what scenarios to use it to build your team into a better position, and why I believe it is the most fun way of playing a Football Manager. So to kick things off, we need to learn how to actually find and install the Moneyball filters, and I'm going to do something very simple and type in FM24 Moneyball, and the first one you see that comes up on Google from Sports Interactive community forums you want to click on, and it brings you to this forum. I will leave a link on how to install this in the description down below for anyone that is having issues, etc. But I will show you exactly how to download everything. You want to first of all just download the file. If you come down literally to setting up, you click download on that and download here. You'll get Ads Central, of course you will, but wait for that to install. Once that's all been installed, then just head to your downloads file and you will see it here. To make things a lot easier, I normally just cut and paste it into the Sports Interactive file in the documents to make it a lot more easy. Paste that in here and then right click and head down to WinRAR or whatever folder you use to extract things, and extract it here, and it will extract all the information from that, and everything comes out like so. So you have your filter, your view, your squad view, your statistics spreadsheet, and your top 5 leagues filter. So what you want to do is you want to put your 2 filters, which are here, into the filters section in your Sports Interactive Football Manager 2024, and your 2 views into the view section. Fairly simple. Again, I won't do it because I already got them installed there. And then the one massive thing that you get with this, which is really important, is the Excel spreadsheet. Now, obviously, you have to use this on Excel. There's not really a way you can use this without Excel, which is a real shame. But genuinely, if you do have Excel, or if you can get a trial for it, etc., for the end of FM24 to give yourself a trial, it is genuinely the most fun way to play Football Manager ever. And I will teach you exactly how this whole spreadsheet works and how to use it best. And if you guys really want to see how Moneyball works the best on Football Manager, I am releasing a video which will have this thumbnail on it in the next couple of days on the 23rd of December, which is a first ever for me story style series. It's going to be 3 to 4 episodes long, where I go through a Moneyball story of rebuilding FC Groningen to the best team in the world, showing you all the Moneyball signings, the formations we use, and an incredible story which I've got to say has been an amazing thing to work on. So 23rd of December at 4 p.m. Make sure your bell notifications are on, because that video is going to be an absolute banger. Now, for setting up a save in Moneyball, I would do as big as you possibly can on Football Manager without breaking your PC. Now, I'm using the FM Update October, as I do for all of my saves. Use it as original. Let the game load in. And I would look to get to around, I personally use about 100,000 players in my database. 85,000, in fact, is what is set up there. I do have a setup already loaded, just called Start. If you guys want to copy this, you can do. This is for me playing in the English league. So if you want to play in the Bundesliga, I will change to playable and view only. So you can see we've got about 78,000 available there. I will put all the big leagues on here that we have got to playable and view only. And you can see we get to around 93,000 players in the database. This really helps sort of bring you players that you wouldn't normally find in your game, and it gives you much more options. If you want to do it even further, head into the advanced section with your continents of Europe and South America. Use current international players from top clubs and continental reputation. And then Asia, Africa, North America, and Oceania. Players from top clubs and current international players. That gets you around 95,000 players and gives you the best chance of finding the best hidden gems in the game. Now, I've set up my save already as manager of Brentford, as they are a team that use Moneyball in real life, and also I've used Eintracht Frankfurt to show you the difference between using Moneyball in the UK. Due to Brexit, it makes it a lot harder to sign smaller European or non-European players into the leagues. You have to use ESC slots, etc., which can get very difficult, and Moneyball in the UK UK is actually some of the hardest you can do. So I've shown you it in Germany as well, so I can show you guys the way you could do it when you have absolutely zero limitations, which is fantastic. Now, in terms of scouting, you want to create one recruitment focus for the whole year. This is exactly what I do. Make sure you change this tactic to any position from the tactic. I go 2-star and 2-star because you're not really going to be starting players based off their scouting ability. It is more down to the stats. Age profile, just go to 15 to 30. Set this to ongoing, and you want to set the area to Europe, and that'll be that. And then further details, come down to analysis and stats, general, and then average rating. And it will look just to scout players that have got an above average rating. Now, this is just helpful for when you come to really try and find the players you want to get and find their hidden information like consistency, performance in big matches, personality traits, etc. It makes that process a lot quicker at the end of the season, rather than having players you've got no idea about other than their stats. That should get you a little bit of a boost. Do that for all 5 continents and you'll be absolutely golden. And the next thing is the scouting searches, etc. So you have the player search view, which you have just installed. Put that in and install it and get the FMSS player search view here on the custom. And this is what it looks like. It looks absolutely mental. Don't worry, the spreadsheet makes it look much easier. And then also your search history as well. Again, come down to here, manage filters, import filters, and the filters that you have imported will come here. Click on them, import them, press OK. And then when you come down to the settings cog, click on the one you want. It will ask you to save the filter you've currently got, press no, and it will then load it all in. It's a little bit of a long-winded process. Thank you, Football Manager, for making things difficult, as always. But we now have basically scouting filters that show players that are all above average rating of 7 and above, which is fantastic. So we know players like this are playing well in their game. But for the first season, and really for any season going forward, you cannot scout at this point in August. You have to have your spreadsheet all set up by the end, well, for me, the start of June is the best time to get it. So you have all the players in most leagues have played as many games as possible, and their scouting stats and their stats and data is all for a whole season rather than say 5 games in or January, etc. You can do this in January. You just have to make sure the minutes that are being played are around this 450 mark. For the end of the season, you want to change this to 1,000 so that obviously you don't get players that have played like 3 games and our average rating is 7.7. You think, oh my God, they're incredible, when the sort of data that we're looking at here is such a small scope. They actually played 20 games. They'll be on like a 6.8 and might not be the best player to go and sign. Now, what I've done is just set up these 2 teams, Eintracht Frankfurt and Brentford, in a very simple 4-2-3-1, which I used in the match delay for West Ham. And I'm going to just simulate this season so we can actually get our statistical data and see what positions need improving, because that is a massive thing. With Moneyball, you don't want to just go and sign the best in-class player. You want to look through your team and find positions that aren't improving and improve them using the Moneyball method. And here we now are on the 3rd of June 2024, with Brentford finishing in 9th place, just outside the European positions, which is a pretty decent season for Brentford. As I said, literally nothing I've done other than put the tactic in and figured out what players I wanted to use, and then sort of simulated the season. So we're looking at this Brentford side. We can see that we have identified the striker, the central attack midfielder role, and the goalkeeper role to improve. Now, the reason I've done that is because striker-wise, it was Johan Visser up front last season, who had a decent year, got a 6.94 and grabbed 19 goals, but he's not really a starting out-and-out striker, and we do need someone to lead that line. Someone like Thiago played 15 games to the bench and didn't score a single goal, and it's something we really need to improve on. And also defensively, we need a brand new goalkeeper. Mark Flecken was the keeper last year, grabbed a 6.73 average rating, which is pretty damn poor, and contributed to the fact that our data hub shows we're one of the worst teams at conceding goals in the entire league, despite finishing in the top half, which isn't great and is a key position we need to improve. Now, obviously, that gives us 3 positions to spend our budget on and to really show how we can improve. We're also looking at a backup left back to Rico Henry, as we need someone there, and a backup DM to Janelt and Norgard. Because Norgard and Janelt had such good seasons last season, we're not going to look to break the budget. They both have over a 7 average rating, and Josh Da Silva had a 7.27, so maybe in that sort of 4th choice central defensive midfield position, we'll look for a young player who had a fantastic season in a lower league and see if we can progress him in the Premier League over the next 2 or 3 seasons. But now it's the fun part of actually putting these players into the spreadsheet. So you want to head here, make sure you're you've got everything all set up correctly. 1,000 minutes, etc. Over a 7 average rating at the bottom, 19 to 28, and we've got 728 players which fit this bill. Now, to make this nice and easy, simply click on the first one, hold down Control and A, and it should bring up all the players, which is absolutely beautiful. You then want to Control and P, which will then give you a how would you like to print, and you want to print this as a web page. Simply click OK, and the best thing I can advise is having a a folder in your Sports Interactive called Moneyball Spreadsheets. So I will simply just call this Brentford, and let's click save, and that will now be in your Moneyball filter in the spreadsheets, and we have that here, Brentford as a save, which is fantastic. So we'll double click on that, and it comes up with the web page that you have just created. Again, click Control A to select everything and Control C to copy everything from this page and bring up the spreadsheet that we loaded up earlier, statistics spreadsheet V3.1. If you head to the top left on A2 and click Control V, that will paste in all 785 players that we have got there, which is absolutely fantastic. There's a few things you have to do just to make the spreadsheet work a bit better. Head to column 8K and click Control H, and that'll bring up a find and replace box. And you want just to replace KM and replace all. And once that's replaced all of them, you also want to head to BH, I believe it is, if I'm correct. It is. I've done this a lot, as you can tell. Control H yet again, and do P/W to replace the per week, and that would give you 1,000. It just means the stats work a little bit better in the percentiles tables, which we will head to now, and this will probably absolutely blow your minds. So what we have now is effectively 2 tables which show the percentiles the player ranks in the world. So if you don't know what percentiles are, for example, well, you got Brian Aguirre here, who is in the 87th percentile, which effectively means he's in the top 13% at goals per 90 in the world. And Brian Aguirre would be quite a good pickup for a goal-scoring right winger. He ranks in the top 9% for non-penalty goals per 90, top 18% in shots per 90. All things you can look into, but we're going to do this specifically for what we have done so far with our team and try and find players which are best for us. Now, what I find best to do, first of all, is to head to Football Manager and create a brand new shortlist, just simply called Moneyball, and that'll give you a very good way of putting players that you like the look of into a shortlist on Football Manager that you can then head back and scout. Back to the spreadsheet, we know we are looking for a brand new striker. So first off, we want to head to this B column here with position, and we want to only pick positions that have striker involved in them. And once you've done that, you have now got only players that can play in the striker position listed here, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, for our striker, we are looking for a bagsman to sit in the box and score goals. We aren't looking at someone to assist the ball as like a deep lying forward. We're not really looking for someone to dribble past loads of players. We are simply looking for someone who can score a lot of goals. And the best way I find for finding strikers is non-penalty goals per 90, specifically for what we're looking for to find an absolute bagsman. We are looking for someone that can come in and will score goals, as many goals as he can per minute that he's playing in his current league. So what we're going to do here is we are going to deselect all the numbers that are currently here, and I'm going to select players that are in the top 10% in the world at scoring goals per 90 minutes. Obviously, this will look at the minutes they've played, the amount of goals they've scored, and instantly you can see that has shortened down our list quite drastically. Now, the striker position is probably the easiest one to use Moneyball scouting with, because especially as just an out-and-out advanced forward striker who want to go and score goals, that's all I really care about. If you had a striker which you wanted to be a target man, for example, you could bring this down to say the top 20%, so you would select everything up to 80. You can scroll across to headers 1 and improve this to the top 20% there in the world at headers 1. That would include centre backs as well. So if the ball comes into him, he is more likely to win the header than not. Or if you wanted the striker, which was going to be a pressing forward, you could come to sprints per 90 and distance cover per 90 and sort them into what you want. We are going to go through different positions like a goalkeeper or a centre back to show you how I would scout them. But for strikers, it is fairly simple. I want an absolute bagsman. And I'm going to sort this largest to smallest to find the bagsmans over in the world and find which one we want to scout. So the top 5 here we have are Levi Garcia, a 26-year-old Trinidad and Tobago 6-foot forward for AEK in Greece. We have Cho Kwei-sung, a Korean striker for FC Midtjylland. We have Pablo Solari over at River Plate, a 23-year-old Argentinian. We have Bertrand Traore, a 28-year-old striker from Burkina Faso playing for Ajax. And we also have John Kennedy here, a Brazilian striker playing for Fluminense. So you now want to head to Football Manager and find them 5 players. Levi Garcia at AEK. I mean, already, he looks pretty damn good. He looks like more of a winger, but someone we can certainly keep an eye on. If you want to add him to the shortlist, add him to the Moneyball shortlist indefinitely. And I'll normally set up a full scouting for him, especially at a club which has the budget like Brentford. You want to go through and do that for every single player we've just spoken about. So we now have our 5 strikers on our shortlist that we are looking to find out all the information on. Now, the reason this is very important because someone like Bertrand Traore, who looks fantastic on this list as a 28-year-old striker, doing really well in his goals per 90, etc. We need to know how he actually is as a person, which, as we can find out very quickly, he is inconsistent, he is injury prone, and he is heavily one-footed. So isn't someone that you would really want to be your bagsman in the box. And we now obviously know he is a right inside forward. And while he suits the role statistically, you do also have to get the scout report up and find out what he's like as a player. Now, I've gone through now and gone to ahead and scouted all these players, so we at least have information about who they are and how they'll play, etc. And also found a couple of other players which I liked from the look of the stats. Kasper Dolberg was number 1, and he is currently playing over at RSC Anderlecht. Now, I haven't shown you this screen yet. This is a screen that we will be using ahead of a lot going forward. It is the player profile screen. So any player that is on this list, you can come here and you can find their name. If I just put in KA, you can look at Khan Ahan, who is a centre-back, and it shows all their stats as there. But obviously, we have gone through, identified Kasper Dolberg as a player which could be absolutely fantastic. Now, he ranks in the top 6% for goals per 90, top 8% for non-penalty goals per 90, top 7 in non-penalty XG, top 10% in shots per 90, top 5% in shots on target, shots on the box, shots on target is 98th percentile, and his performance score is looking at a 91. He scored 16 goals last year in 36 games, and his value between 14 and 23 million. So I have got him on our FM to have a look onto our shortlist, and of course the Money Scouts think he's absolutely fantastic, but we don't just go off these scouts. We have learned with him that he's incredibly consistent and he does love big matches, which is fantastic. He's got a fairly sporting personality, and that is why I also scout them, because like the Bertrand Traore situation, he looked like one of the best potential players, but he wasn't very good because he was inconsistent, he was injury prone. That's why it's important to do that extra level with scouting and not just using the spreadsheet. A player was on the list that we initially found was Cho Kwei-sung from FC Midtjylland, and if we were to look at him on this list, he ranks very similarly, if not a million times better. He is in the top 1% for goals per 90, non-penalty XG, non-penalty goals per 90, shots on target, top 6%, shots on target per 90, top 3%, non-penalty XG per 90, top 5%, fouls won, he's good, goal contributions, the top 1% with a 0.62 average per game. That's why he scored 24 goals and got 6 assists in 31 games with a 7.2 average rating, ranking as a 93rd percentile as a finisher. Now, if you look at him on FM, you do not think he is the best possible player we can go and sign. And that is why Moneyball was great fun, because this is the guy we are most likely going to sign up front, and we'll show you the results at the end of next season. Just to look through some more into reasons why I haven't exactly gone for them ones, Levi Garcia is quite clearly a winger, a very good winger, but he is also sort of a rotational winger in the Greek league. He played 12 games on the bench, 13 games starting. These are all things you have got to look at. Don't just look at the stats blindly. You have to also apply a little bit of knowledge. He is also injury prone. John Kennedy is someone which is certainly very interesting. He has scored 9 goals in 16 games. We have nearly scouted him fully now. He is wanted by clubs like Aston Villa, RB Leipzig and Rennes. And if you look at him in the stats here on the spreadsheet, John Kennedy, he again looks very, very good in terms of his finishing ability. He is top tier. He is just 22 years of age and is someone which very easily I could also look to sign. I'm going to finish a scout on him, see exactly what he's about, and compare the two in a couple of days' time, Cho Kwei-sung and John Kennedy. But both of them are players which I would never find on Football Manager unless I was using this Moneyball method, which is why it's absolutely fantastic and has something really fun for the end of FM24. Now, really frustratingly, I've gone 3 weeks into the future to get him fully scouted, and despite having him as the #1 scout, it's just not really doing it properly, which is very, very annoying. But we can see pretty much all his stats, and his, in fact, stats are incredibly impressive. He is an absolute bagsman, and actually the guy I am going to sign, and that is partly due to the reason because Cho Jae-sung is actually injured for the next 3 months with a torn hamstring. And I personally never sign players which are off the back of injury. I don't know how it's going to affect them. I would rather not. So John Kennedy is just as impressive. He is actually younger. He is from the Brazilian League, which can do very well in the Premier League. And that is the guy we're going to sign on a release clause of 13 million. So to find out exactly how he performs, come back to when we do the simulation and he will be there. Now, the other position we need improving is our central attacking midfielder position. As the shadow striker, we need someone that can create chances and score goals. So obviously we need to go ahead and remove all the filters we have currently got selected. So it's quite simple. Click on the filter bit here and select all, and just make sure if you scroll through, nothing else has it on. If you've done, say, defenders, you've done progressive passes, defensive actions, etc., you have to go through and do every single one. For us, it is just the non-penalty goals per 90, and now you need to go through and do the position as well. So again, probably easier just to select all and then head back and now go through and select all the cam positions, which we have now done, which is great. And there seems to be about 50 to 60 players there, which is very good. Now, because we are using a shadow striker, it is again quite important that we look for players with good goal scoring abilities, but also a key chance created per 90. Now, assist per 90, I don't often go on because if they've got a rubber striker up front, it's not really their fault that the chances get missed. So my favourite to go for is the key passes per 90 and chances created per 90 to go off this. Now, because again, we're going to look to find those players, we're going to go to the top 20% in both of these, which we have now done, and also want to see if they are an absolute bagsman as well. Now, there is actually only one player which massively stands out, and that is Koji Miyoshi, 27 years of age, Japanese, 5'6" from VfL Bochum. He stands out massively. I mean, you can see because it's all done by colours, it really does stand out that he is a bagsman, but also creates a lot of chances. Someone else is, I believe that's Taylor Booth over at FC Utrecht, and the other guy is Todd Cantwell in the Championship with Blackburn. Has had a very, very good season and someone to also certainly look at. Now, we're going to just change this to, we'll do top 40% and maybe just tweak a few things to get a few more players come up because they're not going to have too many, but there's a few options there. It might be worth just changing some of these down to the top 25% and improving the finishing ones. It is sort of a mess about and find out really with this. Sometimes you have to go through and sort of tweak it to how it needs to be done. But overall, I think it's important that we get at least them 3 on the scouting list, so we'll go ahead and do that. Now, Koji Miyoshi is incredibly impressive, and I'm trying to find any reason to why this guy shouldn't be the option, and I'm really struggling. He got 15 goal contributions in 21 starts last season in one of the best leagues in the world, in the Bundesliga. He ranks in the 99th percentile in performance score. He is in the top 6% as an attacking finisher, the top 4% as a box-to-box because he's got high distance covered, which suits our Brentford side down to a T, good successful pressures and defensive attempts. In terms of goal contributions, top 2%, key passes, top 7%, chance created, top 8%, goals per 90, top 9%, non-penalty goals per 90, top 5%, goals outside the box, top 4%, shots on target, top 1%, 75% of the shots he took were on target. This guy's an absolute joke. I have got him being scouted, but I don't know if I'm going to look past him because he looks incredible. And it's got to be said that Todd Cantwell also ranks fantastically in very similar stats to Koji Miyoshi. 23 goal contribution in the Championship is brilliant. The only thing that really turns me off is the English tax. He is valued between 26 and 42 million compared to Koji Miyoshi's like 5 million, which is a no-brainer. In Moneyball, you have to be using them scenarios, and he's an absolute bargain. Taylor Booth is another one that looks really, really good. A high press central attack midfielder / right winger who looks very well technically gifted in terms of his sort of creative chances. They are all sort of in the top 10%. Finishing wise, he's doing very good as well. Not quite as much of a bagsman, but someone that can certainly be interested in as a great playmaker, as a winger and direct forward as well. He looks fantastic. Value between 13 and 22 million, so a little bit expensive, but someone to keep an eye on. Serginho doesn't look as good as we sort of get him into this sort of level of detail. Only scoring 9 goal contributions in 18 games is pretty decent, to be fair, but nothing's really standing out. He's quite well-rounded, a very cheap option. So as a backup, he could be fantastic, but not really screaming out to me. Gabriel Peck, I think we've mentioned already, looks very, very good, very well-rounded, a very good winger. So I think my only real option is to go for Koji Moyotu, and well, that's what we're going to do. We're going to quickly just check the scouting and see if there's any massive flaws in him, which hopefully there's not. Based on the stats, he looks absolutely incredible, and I can't see there being a reason I don't want to sign him. I mean, the scouts think he's absolutely rubbish. I'm willing to take that risk. You have to sort of ignore your scouts and go off what the stats say sometimes. Moneyball, he is wanted by 1FC Cologne. There is no inconsistency. He is pretty good on both feet. He's only 5'6", which is a little bit worrying, but he's an absolute bargain. And I want to just sort of test it. I really want to just show you guys how good this guy can be. Now, I'm aware that he might not play if we simulate the game, so I am going to lock him in to that cam position. I'm going to get him for around 4.7 million. And then the final one we're looking at is the goalkeeping position. Now, the goalkeeping position is a particularly difficult one to do with Moneyball. There is a few stats which you can go into, expected save percentages, clean sheets conceded, XG prevented, etc. The main thing that I would look at is the club they're coming from. If they are playing for a Manchester City and they have a ridiculously high goals conceded of 99% because they never concede goals, you're not really going to get much information out of them. RB Salzburg, Alexander Schlager is on a 7.07, number 578. I imagine he's got a very sort of high number in goals conceded. 60 set, it's not actually as high as I thought it would be, to be honest, but you can see what I mean. If you're playing for a top tier side and they're not conceding a lot of goals, you're going to be ranked very highly at the Moneyball. Something to look at will be passing percentages. If you want a goalkeeper that can really play out from the back, looking at number 571, I believe that is. We're looking at Martin van der Vaart at Leipzig, plays up from the back very, very well. If you want a goalkeeper that can do that instantly, that is something to look at. And then from there, really, the expected save percentage and save percentage is something that I would certainly be looking at. So I'm going to quickly just sort of tweak all of these to be around the top 50% to get rid of the real random outliers. And we come down to these 5 goalkeepers. Ilya Lantrov for Lokomotiv Moscow, Timothy Fayolu from Sion, Sebastian Horado from FC Juarez, Stanislav Azkostev from Krasnodar, and Lovre Kalinic from Hajduk. So I'm going to scout all them exactly like all the others. And obviously I was going to do this all with Eintracht Frankfurt as well. I've actually run into absolutely no issues doing it in England, so I'm not going to do it with 2 separate teams, just wasting your time showing you how to do that all. I will show you how to sign a DM and a left back with Brentford, but in terms of the Frankfurt stuff, we've run into absolutely no work permit issues. That's the only difference that I was going to sort of mention by running the 2 sides, is work permit wise, sometimes in the UK you can have lots of issues. We've not run into that, which is fantastic. But if you do, you just allocate them an ESC slot, or you have to find someone else, sadly. That's the really difficult thing, especially in like the championship. Moneyball is really hard. But if you can allocate them ESC slots for the best players you've got, or if they qualify, absolute dream. But yeah, that's the only real reason I want to do the 2 saves. As mentioned at the start of the video, with the central defensive midfielders for Brentford, we are looking for a younger player to come in and be the 4th choice option and progress with us. Now, so we're going to cap that at the ages to max of 24. And then for our DM with Brentford, we're looking for someone which can be quite aggressive. So something like distance covered per 90 is going to be quite important to us. We don't want specifically lazy players. So sort of in the top 60 percentile was good. The rest are all just a little bit lazy and they're going to be sitting there as anchor men rather than sort of aggressive DMs. We really want someone that can progress the ball quite well. So there is that somewhere. There it is, look, progressive passes per 90. So we want someone probably in the top 20% in that. They want to get the ball, move it on, win the ball back. A bit like a Manuel Ugarte sort of position. So I suppose it's quite important as well to see the defensive actions and pressures. We also want to be looking into this. So again, we'll go top 25% in pressures attempts, and defensive actions will go top 25% as well. And we can find, we'll keep that 73 one just in case. We've then got a very aggressive ball playing central defensive midfielder. And these are all of our options. You've got Samuel Riki at 22 from Torino, Can Bogstan, a bit more of a cam from Utrecht, Ilya Gruev from Leeds, valued at £70 million, Jan Schopner at Heidenheim, Julian Aude from Argentina and Galaxy, more of a left back, Martin Frendrup from Genoa, and Matias Diaz from Nacional de Madeira. Now, in terms of ones here that make sense as a 4th choice defensive midfielder, you are looking at Matias Diaz, Martin Frendrup just about, and really Jan Schopner. The rest of these are either too expensive or out of position, so let's go and scout them. And finally is our backup left back to Rico Henry. So again, we're probably going to look to have a younger option. I mean, Rico Henry is sort of getting on a bit. I mean, I think he's only mid-20s actually. So maybe not actually. We'll keep all ages open. I've filled it all down into the left backs. And for our left backs, I believe in this Brentford system, we have a fullbacks on attack. We do indeed. So we are looking for a left back which has a very good cross completion. We want someone that's going to get forward and do bits. Now, crosses attempted, not really what we're looking for. That means they're just flying balls into the box. Crosses completed per 90 is good. Cross completion is quite important as well. Open play cross completion is very important. I would say open play crosses completed per 90 is one of the best things to look at here. We're going to go for the top 40% in this just to get ourselves a clearly attacking left back as an option, which obviously then brings everything else into the green, which is lovely. Progressive passes, they're very high in. Pass completed, they're very high in. Assist per 90, again, it's quite difficult. I don't really like that stat because if the striker's missing chances, that's not really their fault, which is annoying. Key passes, open play, chances created. You're all sort of getting this through this, which is good. Now, in terms of moving it on to the defensive stats, we are looking at possession lost is something we don't really want them to do. So you want them sort of being in the lower of the 50s, I would say, because attempting crosses can get you chances lost. So we won't be too aggressive on that. I think it's more going to be their possession 1 per 90. We'll keep that in the top 20%. So they are going out and winning the possession and being an aggressive fullback. So we'll also do their successful pressures. We want someone in the top 30th percentile. I've clicked the wrong thing there, which is absolutely classic. So we will head over and see what young players or even just backups we are looking at. So Aaron Hickey at Brentford. How surprising. We have found one of our own players on the list. It just shows that we are scouting the exact correct thing, which is brilliant. Ludwig Augustinsson from Anderlecht is an older option. Juan Miranda at Bologna is a very good shout. Bruno Onyemaechi from BVT at 25. Nathaniel Brown at Frankfurt playing the exact same system. So you can see the scouting we've done there and picking the stats there has worked perfectly because we're playing the exact same system at Frankfurt when we simmed there. And he's come up between 8.8 to 11 million pounds. In fact, I think that makes almost perfect sense to go and do that because we were playing the system and it worked. So we're going to go and find Nathaniel Brown and bring him in. That is the left back. There's not really much point in me doing much else because we know exactly what he's like. He is exactly what we are looking for. And statistically wise, just to show you in terms of his player profile, I guarantee you he looks absolutely unbelievable in here, which he does. He is 5'9", 20 years of age, 10 assists last season and 5 goals. Left-footed left back, incredible in the midfielder stats. Playmaker-wise, top 1%. Wing back, top 1%. Overlapper, top 1%. Reader, top 1%. Possession 1, blocks per 90, deceptions per 90, successful pressures, defensive actions. Going forward as a left back, he is incredible. Top 1% in open play crosses, completed, attempted, crosses attempted, completed, chances created, open play key passes, progressive passes. He's exactly what we're looking for. It's an absolute no-brainer to go and get him. Now, in terms of the goalkeepers that we picked out, I am quite worried. But I'm going to take a gamble, and I'm going to show you guys that Moneyball Scouting really can work. Timothy Fayulu is the one I'm going to go with. He looks below average. He doesn't look fantastic. He was very good last season at Sion in the Super League. In the Sion's last league, they didn't come in the top 3. So he's not at a major club. So he had only 15 goals, 8 clean sheets, 4 player of the matches, 7.09 average rating. His stats look very average. I want to bring him in and actually see. This is a big risk because it's the goalkeeper. I want to see if he can do it. I want to see if he can prove how good Moneyball Scouting can be. And in terms of the DM positions, things are looking quite good, in fact. Morten Frendrup looks absolutely brilliant. He is a B-. He is a fantastic midfielder, 23 years of age, but probably a bit too good for what we're looking for. Now, Matthias Diaz is a fantastic midfielder, but looks a little bit more attacking. And Jan Schopner is the guy that we're going to go for because he looks absolutely brilliant. A value between 60k and 6 million. Stamina, natural fitness, concentration, teamwork, outrageously good. I'm excited. I'm going to bring him in, especially when he's costing us £4 million, which is an absolute no-brainer. Miyoshi is now into the team, which is brilliant as our cam. He'll be getting locked in there. And the other guy we signed, John Kennedy, is in as our striker, which is very exciting, costing us just 14 million. So things are looking quite good. The Brentford Moneyball-esque transfer window is looking good. And this is exactly what I'm about in managing in England. Fayulu's work permit has been rejected. Now we have got ESL slots, which is great. I am, of course, going to appeal it and come back on the 16th to try and see if that got accepted. But that is the issue with managing in England and doing Moneyball. Sometimes the players you really want, you just can't get due to either using all your ESC slots or they just aren't going to qualify for a work permit, which is really annoying. And when his work permit got rejected, of course it did. So Timothy Fayulu is now in after allocating an ESD slot. He actually doesn't look as bad as I first thought he might do. He's consistent. He likes big matches. He is Brentford's new goalkeeper. And I believe that is everyone now in. So Fayulu in goal. Nathaniel Brown as our backup there. A backup centre-back. We have Sepp van der Berg coming in. And backup midfielder-wise, oh, not quite yet. Jan Schopner is coming in for 4 million. What a find he was. He looks brilliant. And there he is. Jan Schopner is in. No issue with the work permit, which is good to see. Coming in as a 2.5-star player. Now, obviously, this isn't a reboot or anything. So we are just going to simulate a forward and see what happens. Jan Schopner in as the backup DM. I'm going to lock in Timmy Fayulu. I'm going to lock in Miyoshi in cam. And I'm going to lock in Kennedy up front and show you the 3 players that we really concentrated on to do bits in this system are going to come in and absolutely smash it. And Brentford are going to be in the European place by the end of this season. And that is all while spending just 25 million pounds, including Kennedy. So the season is over then, and the first thing I want to show you is the average ratings and performances of our team. We have sorted this by the best average rating, and what would you know? Koji Miyoshi, the Japanese central attack midfielder playing for VfL Bochum, grabbed 21 goal contributions and a 7.17 in the Premier League, signing for £4.1 million. With these stats, I don't know why it works. I genuinely cannot tell you what is different about this guy that makes him work in the match engine, but trust the Moneyball method. A 7.13, 14 goals, 8 assists. Fantastic. Timothy Fayulu, a goalkeeper that's 2-star ability, a decent championship goalkeeper, has just played 42 games in the Premier League because he did 48 goals and got a 7.02 average rating. I don't understand it. It's not like he's a 6'9" giant with 20 area reach and jumping reach, which is overpowered on FM. He's just good. He's just had a very, very good season. I wish I could pinpoint it. I simply can't. John Kennedy is right down here and has performed very similar to how Johan Visser did last season. Grabbed 17 goals, got 5 assists and a 6.8 average rating. The signing was a good one, £14 million, 16 goals. We certainly take that as a new Brazilian coming into the league. I would imagine as we go forward in the future seasons, he'll get better and better and better. It's not groundbreaking, but it's a decent signing for sure. Nathaniel Brown was our backup left back. He got 3 assists, 1 goal, was 6.94. Very good as a backup left back. And Jan Schopner as a backup DM. Played just 10 games. As mentioned, he was our 4th choice, but got a 6.9 average rating when he did play and contributing to a squad which has just finished 5th in the Premier League with 71 points, 29 goal difference, 7 losses, 11 draws, 20 wins. We had a transfer window. We spent £25 million, signed possibly the 3 most important positions on FM in goalkeeper, cam and striker. Our goalkeeper and cam were 8 million combined, and we have just secured Champions League football with Brentford by literally using the Moneyball method. I don't know how better to show you guys how well the Moneyball method does genuinely work. We were 2 points away from coming in the top 4. We did pretty poor in cup competitions, which is to be expected. We lost against the big teams, again, to be expected with Moneyball. And if you've ever watched the film Moneyball, the whole thing is like getting on base more. So doing better at the things you should be able to do better at. Facing up against teams like Norwich, we'd bag 5 past them. Facing up against teams like Spurs, Liverpool, United and Chelsea, we struggled against. It's just what happens in the football. We battered Leeds 5-1. We got knocked out in the Carabao Cup, beat Newcastle, Brighton, Palace. Norwich 5-0 again, a John Kennedy hat-trick. It seemed like John Kennedy would turn up in certain games, bag hat-tricks, and then would not see him again, which is a bit frustrating. It does say he's a consistent player, but maybe not the most consistent. But overall, I am absolutely over the moon at how that worked. The 2 ones that I was really nervous about, that didn't look good on paper at all, Timothy Fayulu and Koji Miyoshi have both come into the team and absolutely stormed it, because we looked at the individual stats we needed in the team, looked at how they performed at their teams, and they absolutely smashed it. As mentioned, the Moneyball method is my favourite way to play, and there will be a series starting on the 23rd of December where we go through the Moneyball method of Football Manager and create an incredible save with FC Groningen. So make sure you're subscribing, get the bell notification on, and I'll speak to you next time.